Have you ever wondered why some people seem to manifest their dreams with ease while others struggle, no matter how hard they try? There is a forgotten teaching about the true power of imagination, a secret so profound that it can completely transform your reality. In this video, we will reveal the hidden wisdom of Genevieve Behrend, knowledge that shows how your mind creates everything you experience. If you are ready to awaken your creative power, subscribe to the channel and let's get started. The awakening of the invisible mind. Imagine, for a moment, that everything you experience, every encounter, every obstacle, every achievement is not the result of chance, but a silent projection of your own mind. Now think, if this is true, to what extent do you really know the power that dwells within you? Genevieve Behrend believed that the human mind is like an invisible force shaping the fabric of reality. Long before quantum physics popularized the idea that the observer influences the observed, she was already teaching that imagination is the divine tool of creation. Behrend learned directly from Thomas Troward, one of the most profound thinkers on the mental laws of the universe. According to her, Troward said that the mind is a creative mirror. Everything you contemplate with intensity and feeling will sooner or later become part of your physical world. But there is one detail that few understand, and this is where the real transformation begins. Most people imagine with desire, but not with conviction. To desire is to want something. To imagine with conviction is to live the result even before it exists. It is to align your feelings, thoughts, and beliefs until the universe has no choice but to reflect that back to you. Genevieve said that when she decided to study with Troward, she had no money, no contacts, not even a concrete plan. But every night before going to sleep, she saw herself in London, sitting in front of him, learning his teachings. She didn't just see it. She felt as if it were already real. And a few weeks later, unexpected circumstances aligned, the money appeared, and the impossible became inevitable. This was the first proof that the mind is the silent source of everything we call reality. And this is what Genevieve dedicated her entire life to, teaching that the invisible power of the mind is not something reserved for the few, but rather the natural gift of every awakened human being. Imagination as a creative force. For Genevieve Behrend, imagination is not a simple mental activity, it is the sacred act of creation. She believed that everything that exists in the visible world is first born as an image in the invisible, and that this image, when sustained with faith and emotion, transforms into form, matter, and circumstance. In her words, imagination is the channel through which the divine expresses itself. Therefore, she taught that the human mind is like a mirror between two worlds, the invisible and the visible. What you project on the screen of your imagination is reflected at some point on the screen of life. But there is a secret that few understand. Imagining is not just seeing something in your mind. It is feeling as if it already exists. It is uniting thought and emotion until the body and mind vibrate at the same frequency as what you wish to manifest. When you imagine something intensely, you are imprinting that idea on your subconscious, and the subconscious, like fertile soil, does not question, judge, or doubt. It simply accepts and begins to work silently to transform that image into reality. Genevieve explained that imagination is the power that shapes universal substance, an invisible field that responds to mental impressions. This substance, which she called the divine mind or creative intelligence, takes the form of sustained thought. Therefore, passing thoughts have no power, but thoughts nourished by emotion and certainty become creative commands given to the universe. It is at this point that imagination becomes a living force. When you hold a clear mental image and feel as if it were already real, creative energy begins to move. Coincidences happen, people appear, paths open up, and what once seemed impossible reveals itself as a natural consequence of an aligned inner state. For Genevieve, imagining is praying, not a prayer of words, but of vibration. Because the universe does not respond to what you ask for, it responds to what you are in the silence of your consciousness. And that's why she used to say, if you want to change what you see, change what you imagine, because reality is just a mirror of the mind in motion. How the mind shapes reality. Think of your mind as an invisible studio, where images are painted, music is composed, and scenes are staged. These scenes do not yet exist in the physical world, but they have a real quality. They imprint an internal signature, an energy pattern that acts as a mold. When you hold this mold long enough with feeling and conviction, something happens. The invisible form begins to cause adjustments around you, and matter somehow reorganizes itself to match the imprint you hold. A symbolic way to imagine this process is that of the sculptor and the clay. The image in your mind is the sculptor's vision. The clay is potential reality. If the sculptor sees clearly and works with confidence, the form appears quickly and coherently. If the vision is vague, hesitant, or full of doubt, the clay does not respond. Or if it does respond, it creates disconnected and unstable forms. The difference lies in the fidelity of the inner vision. There are three internal mechanisms that explain this transformation in symbolic and practical terms: impression and memory. Each repeated image is recorded in the memory as a pattern. On a subjective level, this means that your attention and emotions begin to revolve around that image, reinforcing it. On an objective level, this translates into small behavioral changes. You begin to look for opportunities related to that image, speak differently, and make aligned decisions. Over time, this set of micro-actions alters your social and physical environment, creating the conditions for the mental image to become reality. Resonance and attraction. When an image is sustained with feeling, it creates an inner frequency, a way of being. People and circumstances that vibrate at the same frequency tend to converge. I am not talking about magic here, but about affinity. Your inner state guides your attention and behavior, and thus you attract by choice and attunement that which corresponds to your new way of being. Genevieve described this by saying that the universe responds to the dominant image. In visual terms, imagine a lens focusing light. The lens adjusts the direction of the rays. The mind, when focused, adjusts the direction of experience. Feedback and adaptive transformation. Once the first external evidence begins to appear, a conversation, an open door, a synchronicity, it acts as feedback that strengthens the inner image. This reinforcement in turn intensifies conviction and creates a cycle. Belief generates action, action generates external signals reinforce belief. This cycle is what transforms a scattered desire into continuous reality. Now look at this with an almost scientific eye, without losing the poetry. The human mind operates in layers. There is conscious, repetitive, and superficial thinking. There is the world of emotions which colors experience. And there are deeper levels that gravitationally guide habits and perceptions. When you change a deep impression, you are altering the configuration of your experience. You begin to perceive possibilities that were previously filtered as irrelevant. You begin to respond to subtle signals that you previously ignored, and your actions, however small, begin to redirect your life. Another useful symbol is that of the water's surface. A calm surface clearly reflects the sky. Rough water returns distorted images. Genevieve's practice aims to calm the surface, to create a more serene and focused inner field, so that the desired impression is reflected clearly and the world responds accordingly. This does not deny the role of external circumstances, limitations, and other actors on the scene. On the contrary, understanding the mind as an active cause also means recognizing that we are co-creators interacting with a larger system. The mind changes the way you participate in that system, and therefore the result changes. Genevieve always emphasized responsibility. Power comes with the task of maintaining it with integrity, clarity, and persistence. To make this bridge tangible, imagine 3 levels of practice. First level, imagination as focus. Choose a simple image and hold it for a few minutes each day. Observe the small changes in behavior that this image generates. Second level, imagination with emotion. Add genuine feeling, gratitude, peace, joy as if you were already experiencing it. Emotion gives weight to the image. Third level, imagination with consistent persistence. Keep going even when there are no immediate signs. Persistence builds the feedback loop that will transform the external landscape. Finally, remember this idea. The mind is the invisible architecture of the world. It is not about denying the body, circumstances, or practical action. It is about aligning all these elements with an inner vision strong enough to guide the journey. Genevieve Behrend did not promise magical shortcuts. She taught a method of conscious creation, vision, feeling, and fidelity. Together, these 3 are the bridge between thought and matter, the connection between mind, energy, and the universe. Everything that exists vibrates. From the silent movement of the planets to the most subtle human thought, everything is energy at different frequencies. The mind, therefore, is not just an internal space for thoughts. It is a living extension of the universe itself, a creative field where ideas take shape, intention generates movement, and emotion brings the invisible to life. Genevieve Behrend understood this mystery with unusual clarity. For her, imagination was the divine instrument that united human beings with the creative power of the whole. Each mental image, when sustained with faith and emotion, was like a seed planted in the energetic soil of the universe, and sooner or later, it would sprout into visible reality. But this process requires more than desire. It requires alignment. When thought, feeling, and belief vibrate in harmony, the universe responds. There is no separation between what is inside and what is outside. There is only a continuous energetic dialogue between the human mind and cosmic intelligence. That is why the invisible power of the mind is not a poetic metaphor. It is a subtle but precise law. Everything that man holds firmly in his consciousness inevitably tends to manifest itself. Genevieve called this bringing the invisible into visible form. And deep down, perhaps that is the true purpose of existence. To learn to consciously create with the energy that inhabits and surrounds us. How to consciously manifest. The alignment between thought and reality. Understanding the invisible power of the mind is only the first step. The real challenge is learning to use it consciously. Genevieve Behrend taught that the human mind is like a mirror. It reflects exactly what we believe to be true. If we look at the world with doubt, fear, and limitation, we will see those same shadows manifest before us. But if we maintain a firm, clear vision imbued with faith, the universe begins to reorganize itself to reflect that new inner image. Manifestation, therefore, is not an isolated act, but a state of being. It arises from the union of imagination, emotion, and belief. Imagination creates the mold, emotion gives life to that mold, and belief anchors it in reality. When these three elements move in harmony, the invisible begins to become visible. Genevieve compared this process to the art of a sculptor. First, one must visualize the perfect form within the block of stone. See that which does not yet exist to the eye, but already lives in the realm of ideas. Then, each action, thought, and word becomes the chisel strokes that reveal the hidden form. And this is where many fail. They try to change the world without changing themselves. They forget that the universe responds not to what we ask for, but to what we are in vibration. Manifesting is, above all, becoming the same as what we desire. It's feeling, acting, and thinking as if the result were already real, not out of illusion, but out of a deep conviction that energy follows the pattern of consciousness. When the mind aligns with the frequency of what we desire, circumstances begin to adjust, opportunities arise, and the unexpected becomes possible. This is the true invisible power of the mind, the power to shape reality through inner vibration. Practical part: how to apply Genevieve's method, step by step. Genevieve's method is simple in concept, but requires discipline in execution. Here are clear steps and practical exercises you can start using today. Preparing the space. Choose a time of day when you can be silent. It could be when you wake up, at night before bed, or during a quiet break. Prepare a brief space. Sit with your spine straight. Take 3 deep breaths and close your eyes. The initial intention is to clear the surface of your mind, like preparing a blank canvas. Define a specific image. Decide exactly what you want to manifest. Don't be vague. Instead of "I want more money," say, "I want a job contract that pays me X, starting in this month, giving me Y freedom." If it's a relationship, a partner who supports me with these qualities, laughing with me on a Sunday morning. The more sensory details, colors, sounds, smells, sensations, the more powerful the image. Exercise. Write 2-3 short sentences that describe the scene as if it were already real. Sensory rehearsal. Close your eyes and create the scene in your imagination. Use all your senses. Visualize the environment. Colors, light, objects. Listen to sounds present in the scene. Voices, footsteps, music. Feel emotions and bodily sensations. Warmth in your chest, gratitude, lightness. Perceive smells and textures if relevant. Genevieve recommended doing this with conviction. like an actor living the role. Don't observe from the outside. Live internally, feeling as the driving force. After visualizing, fixate on a dominant emotion: gratitude, joy, trust. Hold this feeling for at least 30 to 60 seconds. Emotion gives weight to the image and is what anchors the impression in the subconscious. Quick exercise. At the end of the visualization, mentally repeat a short phrase that summarizes the scene. For example, "I am grateful for this new contract." Say it internally with feeling, an act of faith and release. After feeling and visualizing, let go. Genevieve emphasized calm trust. Not obsession, not anxiety. Imagine the image has been planted and now you allow the universe to act. This release is essential to avoid resistance that nullifies action. Practice. Set a short intention, as done, and return to the day. Daily repetition. Recommended routine. Morning, 5 minutes. Short focus to align the day with the image. Evening, 10 minutes longer visualization session before bed. The mind absorbs images very well as you fall asleep. These repetitions build the impression and transform the practice into a state of being. Act in coherence. Inspired action. Visualization does not replace action. Observe what arises in your attention after the practice. Ideas, invitations, people. Take small steps, consistent with the image. The harmony between imagination and action accelerates the process. Tip: write down 1 or 2 simple actions you will take that week that align with your vision. Weekly impression journal. Record signs, synchronicities, and internal changes. This creates feedback that reinforces conviction. Don't just record the end result. Record small pieces of evidence: a phone call, a fulfilled intuition, an unexpected encounter. Dealing with doubt and resistance. Doubts arise. Genevieve's technique for this: return to the clearest image, repeat the feeling of certainty, and anchor it with a short phrase. When doubt arises, treat it gently, observe it, and redirect your attention to the dominant scene. Anti-doubt exercise. When a contrary thought arises, breathe, acknowledge it, and say internally, "Thank you for this information," and return to the scene. Don't fight the doubt. Gratitude is a tool for acceleration. Cultivate gratitude as a base feeling. Gratitude transforms expectation into present experience. When you finish visualizing or when you receive a sign, express gratitude aloud or in writing. Language patterns. Affirmations. Use affirmations that ring true. Avoid phrases that generate internal resistance. Instead of "I will be rich," choose "I feel gratitude for the abundance that is already manifesting in my life." The language should reflect the state already achieved. Signs to know it's working. Shift in focus and observation. You begin to see opportunities that previously went unnoticed. Emotional shift. Greater calm, confidence, and less anxiety. Small synchronicities, people, messages, or situations that point you in the desired direction. Persistence and timing. Genevieve warned that manifestation requires fidelity. Some requests manifest quickly. Others take time because they involve deeper internal transformation. Maintain the practice for at least 21 to 30 days before changing the scene. If it's something large, wait longer. Ethical integration and responsibility. Always ask ethically and in alignment with the common good. Manifesting does not mean manipulating the will of others. Genevieve understood the law as harmony. Create for your own benefit without harming others. Complete practical exercise. Suggested script for a complete session to 1: preparation and breathing. Quick reading of the written scene. Detailed visualization. Intensified feeling and gratitude. Act of release and short intention. Writing down an inspired action for the day. Advanced adjustments as you progress. Use instrumental music or soft, binaural beats to deepen the state. Try falling asleep with the scene in mind. The night is powerful for impressions. Work through limiting beliefs with questions like, "What memory or idea makes me doubt this?" And rewrite the belief with evidence, small victories. Genevieve's method is, in essence, simple: clear image, true feeling, and fidelity until manifestation. Daily practice transforms imagination into habit, habit into perception, and perception into reality. Start small, be patient, and register each sign. The invisible will become visible through the silent work of your conviction. In the end, what Genevieve Behrend taught us goes far beyond mental techniques. It is a reminder that reality is moldable, and the universe responds to the image we hold with faith and emotion. The mind is the temple where creation begins. Each thought is a seed, and each feeling is the life force that makes it blossom. When you master your imagination, you master the very stuff of reality. So today, as you close this video, pause for a moment. Observe the thoughts you've been harboring and ask yourself, what am I creating right now? The answer to this question is the turning point between the life you have and the life you can manifest. If this content touched something within you, subscribe to the channel. Here we explore the mysteries of mental power, energy, and consciousness, guided by masters like Genevieve Behrend. Your transformation begins when you decide to stay awake.